Hello there and welcome in, right? I have had a couple of issues with my microphone last week, so I have been trying to tune it properly, and I don't think it sounds just about right anymore, but it is what it is, right? I'm gonna go a little bit closer this time so I can decrease it on the amp, and I don't know, let me know if this sounds any better to you, worse. It is what it is, right? So I have been inspired by other content creators talking about Arch Linux a little bit more lately, especially with Derek, right? So I have watched his video, it was like yesterday, I think, and he keeps praising Arch Linux as being the best one out there. And generally, I can agree to this from my own perspective. But here's the thing. For work, I have been using Debian for quite a while. And the reason why I wanted to use a stable distribution is because I wanted basically nothing to change from day to day, right? So for 2 years, I wanted my laptop to stay the same as it was the last week and the last month. And you know, when I go to work and start doing my job, I want my operating system to get out of my way. One of the reasons why I have been using Linux for work is because Windows started getting in my way, right? So I would get to a client, open up my laptop, and I have a presentation today, and I start my laptop, and what do you know? Starting Windows update. Please wait half an hour. Like, come on, that you can't do this to me. I am the master of this laptop. You are not supposed to trip me to fall, right? This is not right. This is not okay. I need my laptop to behave exactly as I have commanded it. Do you understand what I mean by this? This is where Linux comes into the power play, right? The Linux is generally awesome. Some distributions are like this, some are like that, but generally we have this vast ecosystem of different approaches to Linux distributions, right? Linux is just the kernel, right? There is nothing beyond that that should be called Linux. Then you have the init daemon, which runs all of the daemons, right? And then you have the desktop environment, or do you want to be a power user with an advanced window manager if you want the tight control of everything through the config files. All this is perfectly fine, right? We have so many options that basically we are the boss of our computers. This is how it is supposed to be. This is our freedom. This is the freedom that we are getting with Linux, right? So I have been a Debian user for quite a lot, quite a long time, right? And the reason why I am an Arch user now is not because Arch is the best. It's because my needs have shifted. So for my personal computer, my content creation computer, I have needed latest software. And from my perspective as a content creator, as well as a gamer, I have needed latest software, and I was willing to sacrifice this for so-called Arch instability, right? And yes, it is true, Arch is not as stable as Debian, because on Debian nothing really changes ever. And on Arch you keep getting the rolling updates all of the time. No, not every day, but multiple times every day. So you can keep updating and updating and updating. You can update in the morning, you can update in the afternoon, you can update yours in the evening, you can update some more in between, if you really want to, or you can update once per month if you so desire, right? You shouldn't have too large gaps between updates, because at one point these updates will not consider you having the packages from too far behind, and in that case something more might break compared to if you would be updating for, let's say, every week, right? This is Arch Linux. It's like that. You're supposed to be updating it all the time. So I have recently updated my laptop, which I haven't, one of my laptops, which I haven't used for a while. I have updated it after some 6 weeks of being off. And what happened is actually I tried to update it and it did not want to update. Pacman was broken because they changed something regarding developer keys, maintainers keys, right? So it simply refused to update. And then I went to Arch Wiki to see what's up, and it said type this command to resync the keys, right? The signature keys from maintainers, and then try the update again. And voila, what do you know? Then it worked. So this is where I wanted to say something about Arch Wiki. Whatever you really heard about Arch Linux, is it for you? Is it not for you? You have most likely stumbled upon Arch Wiki even if you have been using any other Linux distribution, because their documentation is so good, like really so good, that it can absolutely be applied to most other cases out there, even if it's not Arch Linux related, because Linux is generally Linux, and we have a lot of in common between all of the or many of the distributions, right? So the Arch Linux wiki is basically what is on par with the having all of the latest packages, right? So having all of the latest packages would not mean like crap if the documentation would not be as good as it is, because in many cases you will want to know how to do some things, and if something breaks you want to know how to fix it. All of this is documented pretty perfectly. So what I did recently is that, basically I got a new laptop at work, and I was thinking about whether I would dare to change my operating system from Debian. And I was thinking of a couple of choices, namely OpenMandriva, which is like a stable rolling, and Arch Linux, which is full rolling. And what I mean by that is that OpenMandriva, they call it rolling, but basically it's like a stable distribution which gets snapshotted like once a month or something along those lines, right? So in between you don't really roll, but you need to wait for the next update to drop. So that's how it works. It seemed like a better idea for my work, but at the end I didn't have as much experience as I have with Arch, and with Arch I have like roughly a half a year of experience, and I think that I can say at this point that I roughly understand how it works after half a year of daily usage on multiple computers. And I feel confident enough to put it on my work laptop. And what I have decided is not to update it during the work week, but after the work week is finished, like let's say Friday evening, I will update it and not touch it for the next week, right? And if something breaks, I have the entire weekend to fix it. So this seems like a reasonable trade-off, let's say it. And also I have opted in for the long-term support kernel, so I suppose I will not be updating the kernel for the next year, except for the third number of the kernel version, right? That one gets updated all the time with security fixes. This is perfectly fine, but I don't expect any kernel breakages unless at one point I will need some hardware components to be updated or something along the lines of the file system support. Then I will reconsider, right? But in the meantime, I think I have made a good choice. And today I needed to print out something in my office, right? And my printer wasn't set up, so I was like first time setting up a printer on Arch Linux, and I was really like, KDE Plasma, let's click a printer, and nope, it doesn't work because Cups wasn't installed, and I installed Cups, and then I could add a printer, but it still didn't work. And then I just went to Arch Wiki, and Arch Wiki told me like, okay, you have a Lexmark printer, you need to download this package for the Lexmark printer, you need to have Cups, and you need to have this package for the auto discovery to work. And after I have installed these 3 packages according to Arch Wiki documentation, everything literally worked out of the box, and it even showed me the state of the ink by each color in the printer. That is a network printer, right? So basically everything worked perfectly after reading the Arch Wiki documentation. So this is why I'm saying that Arch Wiki is literally half of the magic of the Arch Linux distribution, right? Having the packages, all of the latest ones, is really good. And this is the reason why I switched to Arch Linux, because I am a content creator who needs to have all of the latest packages, right? But at the same time, these packages would mean not too much without having proper documentation behind all of it, because you need to understand how things work on the distribution of your choice, right? So if you pick something, any other distribution that you like, if the documentation is not on par, then you may have a lot of troubles understanding how it works. And I'm not talking about Mint. Mint is not exactly a distribution. And what I'm saying about this, I'm not offending Mint. I'm saying it's just based, Mint is based on a distribution which is based on a distribution, right? So it's not like Mint is doing all of the heavy lifting into creating distribution. If you need help into fixing something that broke, maybe it broke, maybe something broke on your Mint, where do you go for help? To Ubuntu forums, right? Or maybe to Debian forums, because Mint doesn't really have to have all of the help to get you, fixed, right? So it is based on something that is based on something. But when you think about Debian, which is like a core distribution, or Arch Linux, which is core distribution, or maybe Fedora, which is core distribution, or Slackware, which is core distribution, Gentoo, there are some of these. I don't know how many do we have, maybe 10. Let's say we have 10 of the actual Linux distributions, and the rest of the 700 of them are just based on something that is based on something, but that is based on something, right? So these smaller ones don't really need to write too much documentation. Also, I forgot Open Mandriva, right? That one is not based on anything, and they have a pretty good forum, and they help people to get themselves accustomed to how things are done on that distribution. This is good in our community, right? All of these core distribution that take care of you. Now you're going to ask me, like, why not use CachyOS or what is it called, the green one that's based on Arch Linux? I actually forgot. But the effort that Arch Linux maintainers and makers and developers put into making all this possible is how would I put it in English? It's the ones that are based on Arch Linux are putting some effort into making them stand out, right? But this is this big in terms of investment on their end, and Arch Linux maintainers and developers are doing this much work to make all the ball starting to roll, right? That's why everyone loves Arch Linux, and that's why everyone loves Fedora, and that's why everyone loves Debian, that's why everyone loves Open Mandriva, that's why everyone loves Slackware. You know what I'm saying about this, right? So whether Arch Linux is really for you or not, it depends on whether you need such a distribution. And I will never tell you Arch Linux is the best. Arch Linux currently fits my needs. That's all that I had to say, right? Go check up my new mugs.